Now we'll move to the next slide. So on the screen, you may see a few questions that I have put in my presentation. Very first, that is the learning is purposeful, dash dash principle. Learning is growth like and continue principle of dash dash. At the bottom of the cone of experience, some dash and hearing and sharing, remembering dash dash percentage. Learning must result in functional understanding. Some fluff I have put in front of you. Maybe you have read it because I put my presentation on at that time also. So can anybody give some answers of these questions? Learning is purposeful.
Change behavior principle, sir.
No, that is principle of clarity. No problem. Even though you people didn't get the answer of these questions, this is the just I put some idea regarding my topics, so you can go for the examination. Some of the questions has been there which were earlier examination, even though hearing some questions are also there which were asked in the last examination, last year examination. So if you gone through this kind of preparation, so definitely before moving for next topic, from one topic to another topic, you people has to be prepared through some objective type of books are there, some questions are there. If you prepare that kind of questions very first, you go topic wise, not directly you read all whole book and now you are going for some objective questions, reading objective questions. That will be not helpful you. But if you gone through first one topic and then some few questions, so that will help to you. A second question answer is association. Learning is growth like and continue principle of association. This you will get the answer, all the questions answer at the in my presentation. See, principles of learning as applicable to extensions are very important. And if you see, there are some principles of learning which are very well applicable in extension, where we, being as a learner, what are the principles of learning that are directly associated with our extension. So in extension, the principal may provide good guidance for making learning in extension effectively. That is very helpful to us. And when we think about the principles, what it is, its common definition of principle is a fundamental truth and subtle rule of actions. These are the some guiding principles, and that will help us while going through our extension, field extension, extension education, veterinary extension, dairy extension. So these principles are very much important to us. Principle is a statement of policy to guide decision and action in a proper manner. So how should be our way while going with the farming community, with the rural human, with the rural youth, extension functionaries. So these are principles will help us. Now we'll see the first principle. These principles you may have been studied in our graduation, sometime in post graduation also. But this is the some repeated telecast for you peoples because of these kind of principles. May we have prepared for our final examination in our college days. But again, some recap will go through this, and I will clear all your doubts through this my topic. First principle is the principle of self activity. Learning is an active process on the part of learner, and learning which take place in the result of kind of experience one acquires. This experience must be compiling and direct on the part of learner. See, it's a self activity. This is the principle, and when we start activity through our own field or own interest, that will definitely guide us and it will help us. So, see the one example I have put here. That is a conducting demonstration by the farmers in their own field, provide opportunity of self activity. That is a learning by doing. Simply, you know that learning by doing. This make learning effective and permanent. When we learn through our own experiences, definitely it will help us. Second principle is the principles of association. See, uh, when we start with the new learning, it may be associated with previous successful and satisfying response. Uh, so what we learn that we should be maybe that was our earlier efforts where we did and we can go for improvement. That the way it's a principle of association. If the farmers have obtained the profitable return by application of nitrogenous fertilizers, they may be motivated to use balanced fertilizer containing phosphate and potash for still higher returns. Even though some farmers may go for micronutrients that are also very much important. So through his uh, application and change of his behavior through these principles of association. Next principle is a principle of transfer. So when we see the application of pursued relationship to another situation in which it is applicable, unless knowledge or learning can be applied in new situation, it remains very much restricted. See, so how we can apply our relationship regarding our earlier knowledge, our earlier learning. That may be a new situation, new scenario, new crops, new practices. That is we call as a principle of transfer. If the farmer will learn the technique of water management in a particular crop, they maybe drip irrigation is there. We may put as example, they should be able to use the knowledge in other crops. They should be able to use this knowledge in other crop as well as this shall spread effect of learning. See, most of the farmers who are using drip irrigation, that may be high value crops like some horticulture crops, some vegetable crops, or sometimes farmers may apply these water management techniques, some economical crops also, some cereals also, some pulses also, and he will get the fantastic result with techniques of water management. And he transfer this knowledge with this principle of transfer. He having the earlier all kind of his setups and season has been changed. He having the possibility to use his irrigation systems for another crops, maybe pulses or maybe cereals, and through that he will get good results, good returns. This is called as example of principle of transfer. Now we are moving to the next principle, that is the principle of disassociation. So you have to keep in mind principles of disassociation, association. For effective learning and desirable responses are to be eliminated. This may be done by setting up desirable substitute which are more satisfying. See, here one example I put so you can get better idea or better picture. When planting a crop in a line gives a better yield, then the farmer may advise not to practice a broadcasting. This is called as principle of disassociation. Maybe his earlier practice is not that much good, or if he get the better result with new systems. We are working with the farmers, and they are very much of they are not less than scientists, we may say that, because any reinvention is there, new idea came from the farming community itself. So whatever they have with them, so they uh, try to learn something from their own experiences. And when one put his new idea and old idea live, so we may say that this is a principle of disassociation. Now next principle is principle of readiness. Learning take place more effectively when one is ready to learn. See, ये बहुत आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है रेडीनेस, क्योंकि आप जब तक खुद रेडी नहीं है लर्निंग के लिए, that may be our extension teaching, maybe our net preparation, then only it can be more effectively delivered or accepted. When farmers are ready to cooperate with good guidance, they may be able to form a cooperative society. See how the one activity, one example here we put is that cooperative society means though farming community are together. So now you may see in our situation, many rural youths are coming in agricultures. ICAR also has started some projects retaining rural youth in agriculture, that is area programs. Student ready is also there, so to attract, need to attract this our youth. So our land fragmentation is very much in our India. So big new projects can be established with the small land holding. So if the farming community or farmers, maybe rural youth or maybe some senior farmers, they can come together, can be form a group, can do group activity, or may they can go for, now you may know that FPO is there, farmer production organization, they can form, and definitely they can work like some industrial business or entrepreneur. So this is called as, this is the example of principle of readiness. Students, are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
So next one is principle of set or attitude. So here, an unfavorable attitude or set retards learning and favorable attitude accelerate it. Unless attitude become favorable, adoption will not take place. See, everywhere we see, whenever we accept anything or we go through any new things, our attitude work very much. So here also, role of attitude is very important in this principle. When farmers develop favorable attitude towards the scientific treatment of cattle, they shall learn importance of this type of treatment for animal. Because many times some farmers have traditional minded, they may not accept new technology. Then their attitude should be, we need to change. If we develop favorable attitude among the farming community, then only we can go for transfer of technology very clearly. Next principle is the principle of practice. See, perfection, we say that nothing is perfect, but when we can achieve this perfection, perfection is a seldom achieved without practice. For example, you may see in our real life, recently we lost a great singer, that is the person is Lata Mangeshkar. She was doing a lot of practice, though she was we may say that perfect singer, but see, perfection is a seldom achieved without practice. So practice make man perfect, we always say this saying. So definitely the practice must be correct, otherwise there will be the wrong learning. This is also very important. The attainment of perfection demand that undesirable and useless movements are replaced by desirable and useful ones. Learning to use a spray correctly require practice several times over. See, some our field practices, we found that sometimes they are very much complex, not easy to understand. So in that cases, we need to have practice. Some operations are there in farming. If you do with regular practice, definitely, like spraying is also one example here we put. Next principle is the principle of motivation. Motivation is a drive. It means stimulation towards action. Uh, that motivation put you people here in our lecture. You have registered in this course, though you got the opportunity to learn something new, and you people are joined here. So definitely, this motivation and this drive make you a successful net aspirant students. Without motivation, and organism does not behave and hence does not learn. The practice recommended must be motivating for the learning to take place. See, experience of planting tree motivates tribal farmer to collect sapling from the forest nursery. See, this is the one example here how this tribal farmer can go for the forest nursery if some tree plantation happen around him, and that experience definitely help him. Next principle is the principle of timing. See, other things being equal, learning to place more ready when there is introduction of a topic or skill at a time when it can be used in some serviceable manner. Agriculture, if you see, the timing is very much important. In which season, in which particular period, what operation has to be done with the timely, because one day or 2 day late in agriculture may not allow you. Nowadays, our agro-meteorological department are that much active. They can a real-time basis. They can warn you. They can message you through different kind of apps. Some messages through mobiles. So we can that very much important principle is the principle of timing. See the example we can see here: when the insect have appear are likely to appear in crop, farmers shall readily learn about to plant protection. Pest infestation, if occur particular crops, very must, if farmers are observing in his field, definitely he should go for the plant protection. And economic ETL level, if that pest is going to cross very fast, so definitely he will lose his all crops, so that will be hurting. So he should be use this principle of timing. Next principle is the principle of satisfyingness. Satisfying after effect reinforce learning. Crop grown during the Rabi summer season give higher economic returns and higher level of satisfaction of the farmers. Farmer learn to invest more and take more care of crop during this season. This is a very one example, Rabi summer season, and if you plan, he farmer plan, even though some Kharif season he didn't get that much of good result because of maybe heavy rainfall, heavy monsoon. So he may plan Rabi and summer season with higher economic returns and higher level of satisfaction to the farmers. This is the principle of satisfyingness. We have gone through different number of principles, like principle of motivation is there, association is there, readiness is there. So like these principles, uh, if you see the Dale's cone of experience, you may remember that diagram, pyramidal shape diagram through our extension books. So that Dale's cone of experience is a model that incorporates several theories related to instructional design and learning processes. See, learning is very much important, and that has been developed with the different theories, studying different theories. Edgar Dale, he has given this cone of experience. During the 1960s, Edgar Dale theories that learner retain more information by what they do as opposed to what to heard, read or observe. That is important. His research led to the development of the cone of experience. Today, this learning by doing has become known as experiential learning or action learning. The cone of experience modified by Shield in 1989 that provide linkage between the activity and learning. See, you may see this is the two extremes, that is reading at our base of the top of the cone, and at the base of the cone is doing the real things. So direct or purposeful experience. This cone earlier given by Edgar Dale, learning verbal symbols, visual symbols, recording, radio. As we go to base of the cone, then our learning has been improved. And this cone has been developed, not developed, redesigned by Mr. Seal in 1989. So see this picture you have maybe seen our extension book in GLRA book. So see here one corner it's mentioned that after 2 weeks we tend to remember. Means what I had taught you, that what will be the results of your my teaching, that how we can remember. See, what we read is only 10%. Sometime in our examination time we only read, but how much knowledge we can produce? Only 10% what we read. And if you see the hearing the words, around 20% what we hear, that that is retaining is the 20%. Looking at pictures, maybe pictures or posters, that is what we see, that 30% remember through our seeing. But if we see watching movie, sometime new movie is there, looking at an exhibition, watching some demonstration, some YouTube videos, seeing it done at our location. So sometime we can see at our own location also. So retaining of these activities 50%. What we see and hear, two activity mixing here, that see and hear. So total percentage is 50 percentage. Students, you need to remember this percentage, because sometimes they may ask 20 plus 30, that is we hear and see. How much hear, how much means remember we see, and what we read, because we figures are very simplified, easily to remember. But in our examination, when we see the different four options, at that time we do commit some mistakes, and definitely that hurt us. And a final result is that we feel that we are right. Very simple and tricky questions coming through this topic, these principles of learning. We feel that हमें ऐसा लगता है कभी कभी कि सारे प्रिंसिपल एक जैसे लगने लगते हैं, या फिर उसमें हमारे कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है at the time of examination. So be clear, go with examples. That example will help you, and coordinate that example, correlate these examples along with this principle. So definitely you will answering question examination. Next one is 70% what we say. participating in a discussion, giving a talk, that will definitely help us. We may say that receiving and participating, that is a more activity we do through this what we say. And last one is the 90% what we say and do. They're doing a dramatic presentation, stimulating the real experiences. This we may say that. Sorry. See what we have seen in earlier slides. There is a principles of learning, and another principles are here. That is the principles of agriculture extension. Friends, I would say that as many times we get confused with our agriculture extension principles and principles of learning. Though it looks same, but there are some differences that I have mentioned here. So earlier expert may have gone on through this topic, but I will overlook with some examples so that can be help you to keep in understanding manner. Principles of extensions are generalized a guideline which form the basis for decision and action in consistent way. The universal truth in extension which have been observed and found to hold good under varying condition and circumstances are presented. So whatever I have seen earlier in different words, here it is mentioned how these guidelines that is helpful and how it is universal truth which has been proven, whether it is in Latin America, in Africa, or in northeastern India, anywhere. So this extension principle definitely proven one and satisfying and giving the better result to us. See, first principle here mentioned is that principle of cultural differences. See, many times we see in our social heritage, we may there are some cultural differences between the extension agent, between the farmers, in between farmers also, some extension functionaries also. That cultural differences we know being as a extension students how that can difference may that difference may be in their habits, some customs, some values, some attitudes, and may way of life. So extension work to be successful must be carried out in harmony with cultural pattern of the people.
Correctly.
See, sometimes what happen, we may guide for goat farming, you may guide a farmer for the poultry farming, but some villagers having the conception about non-vegetarians practices, they may not allow it because some farmers or some community we found that they are vegetarians. So this kind of agriculture allied enterprises that not be helpful for that people. So while doing or while making our action to for the farming community, we should have harmony with their cultural pattern of the people. Then definitely we'll get the better results. Next principle is a grassroots principle. Extension program should start with local groups, local situation, local problems, local peoples. It must fit to the local conditions. And extension work should start with where people are and what they have. Change should start from the existing situation. See, whatever we have, we are going to start, that should not be directly start, but we should have to be planned. Where is this farming community? Where is the village conditions? What are the local conditions? Then only we can plan accordingly. You know that for this we always see while the rural community, while the NGOs, when they are working with the local peoples, they go with the PRA, participatory role appraisals. Through this PRA, they come to know the existing situation. On the basis of that, they will check out their action plan, and according to that, they will get better results. Next one is the indigenous principle of indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge system have developed through generation of work experiences, problem solving in their own specific situation. The indigenous knowledge systems encompass all aspects of life, and people consider it essential for their survival. Therefore, extension agents should try to understand them and their ramification in the life of people before proceeding to recommendations. See, whenever we will go through the farming community, indigenous knowledge systems is very much important, because many times our scientifically has been proved that some indigenous knowledge techniques or ITK, how that can be helpful to the farming community and our scientific community also. On the basis of that indigenous knowledge, we can develop our science, we can go for the different recommendations. So we should think on this, or we should keep in mind this, the indigenous knowledge principle. Next principle is the principle of interest and need. See, it's very important whenever we starting point of the extension. This line is very much important. People's interest and needs are the starting point of extension work. अगर पीपल का कोई इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं बनता है, उनको लगता ही नहीं है, दे डिडंट फील दैट ये हमारे लिए है ही नहीं, वेदर इट इज फेल्ट और अनफेल्ट नीड, दोनों में भी नहीं आ रहा है, तो वट एवर विल स्टार्ट दैट विल नॉट गिव द सेटिस्फाइंग रिजल्ट. सो whenever we'll plan accordingly, the interest and need of the people's very much important. Extension agents should not pass on their own needs and interests as those of the people. Very simple. Many times new invention, new scientific discoveries or new techniques, new technology we give randomly to the farmers all as our wish. We feel that it is better. But friends, when that new technology gone through the farmers field, and if they really feel it's interesting, it's needful to them, they again and again come to you and join to you, and they will use it. Otherwise, I have seen many times our organizations providing some inputs, some demonstration kits, some new technologies, and that simply lying on the farmers field. They are not applying that knowledge, they are not applying the particular practice, and we simply said that their need and their interest we have not considered while doing our field extension work. Next principle is the principle of learning by doing. Learning remains far from the perfect unless people get involved in actual doing the work. The learning by doing, most effective learning in changing people's behavior. This we have already also gone through in our principles of learning. Next one is the principles of participation. Most people of the village community should willingly cooperate and participate in identifying the problems, planning a project for solving the problems, and implementing the projects in getting the desired results. The participation of the people is a fundamental importance of the success of extension program. People must share, develop, and implement the programs. See, one example I want to put here. Many times extension program planning, participation of people is not there, we cannot get success. One example I want to put here, Pani Foundation, isn't it? That in Pani Foundations, how they attract the peoples, how they field farmers, women, youths. The program is for themselves. The program is for the people, and even in night times also, in daytime also, their participation was very high. So success is also very high. So people's participation is very much important. Family principle. Family is the primary unit of society. This is also one of question for your examination, that family is the primary unit of society, village, or extension. So that kind of questions may ask in your examination. So keep in mind while reading. So do not simply read something you are going to write, then that is not of use. You focus, you make target on your uh, examination, and accordingly you prepare. The target of extension work should be, therefore, develop the family as a whole, economically and socially. See, who are the clientele of our extension people? The farmer, farm woman, farm youth, and are also to involve in extension program. See, if you see the one family, we found that in same family we found farm woman, farmer is also there, and youth is also there. So whole family and whole participation we can easily get through this family principle. Principle of leadership. Identifying the differences, different type of leaders, working through them is essential in extension. Different type of leaders. Some examples.
Autocratic leadership, democratic leadership.
Okay. Only two types.
That's fair. Three types of
Three
leadership
types
work.
are there. Okay, this is one of the kind of types, one of the kinds of leaders. But while working with our extension, village extension, with farmers, different types of leader is there. Some local type is there. Some opinion leaders are there. Sometimes some traditional leader is also there. So in villages, we can see some persons directly or indirectly having the influence with the peoples. When some social matters, they will take some person's suggestion or his involvement is important. When they are going for some temples and some god worship is there, some another persons are working as a, we may say that they are leaders. Sometimes we may see they see in agriculture aspects, some developed farmers or some good farmers, they are making influence on the people so ask them for different advices, people follow them, their technologies, they may work as a leader in our agriculture extension. So these leadership traits are to be developed in the people, so they can, so that they are their own shall seek change from less desirable to more desirable situation. See, if you see, our government is also promoting, if any person's getting the Krishi Bhushan awards or different kind of awards, his uh, they will see how the horizontal expansion through these persons, how many farmers are following him, how much his neighboring farmers are benefiting from this persons. So leadership is very much important, because one person cannot change everything. If one by one, some influence, some motivation, some attitude all come together, that will definitely help in our system. Leader may be trained and developed to act as a carrier of the change in the villages. The involvement of local leaders and legitimization by them are very much essential for this situation. See, next principle is the principles of adaptability. Extension work and extension teaching methods must be flexible and adapted to suit the local condition. This is necessary because the people their situation, their resources, and constraints vary from place to place and time to time. They, so this principle of adaptability is also very much important because every condition, every situation is not always the same. Our climate conditions are changing. Indian condition, European condition, African conditions are different. So we may varying situation. हम इंडिया में बहुत बार देखते हैं in June season or in July, some places are short of rain, some places are flood, some places having the some climatic situation disturbing the different places. So this variability in our Indian conditions. So, but how we must be the flexible, how we should accept it in local condition, and farmers definitely get benefited through this principle of adaptability. Principle of satisfaction. The end product of extension work should produce satisfying result for the people. Satisfying result reinforce learning and motivate people to seek further improvement. See, हम इतना सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, everything we are trying, and if we are not getting our desired results, satisfying results, so how that farmer can be happy? How extension worker can be happy? If we are getting our desired results, then only we'll be happy. So this principle of satisfaction is also very much part of our extension principles. Principle of evaluation. See, evaluation prevent stagnations. Without evaluation, we can't go further. There should be a continuous built-in method of finding out the extent to which the result obtained are in agreement with objectives fixed earlier. Evaluations should indicate the gap and steps to be taken for the further improvements. See, हमें हर चीज का evaluation मानना चाहिए. हम देखते हैं कि in our COVID situation, our marks may get very good to all students. Evaluation process has been changed, but there is evaluation. There should be evaluation. So in our extension, in evaluation plays very much importance. Without that, we cannot identify our gaps, and no further improvement can be possible. See, in this slide, I have given the list or comparison of learning as applicable to the extension and principles of learning. Students, this slide is very much important to you people because see, the principle of self activity, principle of association, principle of transfer, principle of disassociation, reading, attitude, practice, motivation, timing, clarity of objectives, all these are the learning principles. And here cultural differences, grassroots principle, indigenous knowledge, interest, need, learning by doing, participation, family principle, leadership, adaptability, all these principles are mentioned here. And you know, examiner is very talented person. He will always confuse you here. हमें ऐसा लगता है कि हमें सब प्रिंसिपल समझ में आए हैं, एग्जाम्पल भी हमें याद है, मगर जब एग्जाम टाइम में बहुत बार we get confused with this learning principle and principles of extension. So always study with comparison and with examples, so you will be successful in our examination. यहाँ तक तो आप क्लियर है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
कोई डाउट्स है आपके माइंड में? मैं चार्ट
No, sir.
बॉक्स चेक करता हूँ. Some doubts or some question maybe has given here.
Sir,
Yes, earlier some for SRF and NET. Okay, some student is there. ARS examination. Okay. See, at least few names are here who are preparing for ARS examination. It's very good to listen or here that some persons are also preparing for the ARS examination. So you can go through both the way. In exam point of view, if you see examination pattern of the mains examination, they simply directly ask you principles of extension. This year also one question was there for 5 marks. Enlist the principles of extension. So what you will write, there should not be confusion in between your mind. So you should not mention the principles of learning here. Principle of extension, one or two are matching, like the principle of satisfactoriness, principle of satisfaction. That can be acceptable, but you should be very much clear. Cultural differences, grassroots, indigenous knowledge, interest, need, learning by doing, participation, family principle, principle of leadership. And you people, you in mains examination, while preparing for the ARS examination, you have very few time. You always think on that. Time management will be very key success in ARS mains examinations. But in pre-examination, both the papers are same. So if some students are preparing for the examination of ARS, automatically he will get net examination, he will get clear. मैं तो ये आपको कहना चाहूंगा, आप एम थोड़ा बड़ा रख लो. मतलब if you prepare for the ARS examination, automatically you will clear the net examinations. Vishal, you may listening me, Vishal Sau.
Yes,
आप
sir.
थोड़ा एम, आपकी पढ़ाई अच्छी है, आपका इंटेंशन अच्छा है, आपका एटीट्यूड अच्छा है. Why should not your clarity of objective should be clear? Why should not you prepare for the ARS examination? आप ARS क्या तैयारी करेंगे तो आप ऑटोमेटिकली नेट एग्जाम तो क्लियर हो ही जाएंगे. चलो उसी तैयारी में आप फोकस करके ARS भी साइंटिस्ट बन जाएंगे तो डेफिनेटली वी फील प्राउड ऑन यू. Our student has achieved and he got the success in ARS examination. So this is the way. So you focus on this. So can we move next topic?
Sir, can you explain principle of satisfactoriness and principle of evaluation? Sir?
Principle of
satisfactoriness and principle of evaluation as principle of satisfaction.
आपका आवाज ब्रेक हो रहा है.
Sir, principle of satisfactoriness and
Okay.
sir, principle of satisfaction. What major difference, sir?
नहीं, उसमें ज्यादा डिफरेंस है नहीं, क्योंकि हम लोग जो सेटिस्फेक्शन यहाँ जो मेंशन किया है दोनों में, लर्निंग में भी, लर्निंग जो हम एक्शन ले रहे हैं वो हमारी सेटिस्फाइंग होनी चाहिए एज अ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लर्निंग. और जो प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सेटिस्फेक्शन हम की बात कर रहे हैं प्रिंसिपल ऑफ एक्सटेंशन में, कि जो फार्मर्स की जो एक्टिविटी है, फार्मर्स है फाइनली गोइंग फॉर द न्यू चेंजेस, न्यू प्रैक्टिस, so that should result a satisfaction to him. And वो आपको मिल रहा है. बहुत बार क्या होता है कि some farmers, some community pressure, some peer group pressures, they go through new practices, and if get failure, or even though they they didn't get satisfaction. So this may happens, but when our efforts are motivating, our clarity of objectives is there, definitely our behavior or will get the satisfaction in our work. So principle of satisfaction is important.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
Now we are moving to new topic, that is adoption process. See, हमने प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ लर्निंग देखा, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ एक्सटेंशन देखा. तो जो लर्निंग प्रिंसिपल है वो हमें कहा किसकी तरफ लेके जा रहे, फोन ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस देखा हमने. उसमें ये हमें दिखा रहे हैं कि हम न्यू प्रैक्टिसेस, नई चीजों को ट्राई कर रहे या जा रहे, ये सारा चीजों को एक साथ देखना चाह रहे. तो ये सब कुछ स्टूडेंट्स some network issue from my side, not network, power issues there. So I will stop my video, only audio I can keep here. So we can have interaction through this audio mode only. My slides will be visible to you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ryan and Grass first to recognize that the adoption of new idea consisted of stages. When adoption, we go through this diffusion of innovation is there, and adoption process is there. So we see how this uh, how it stages in adoption of new, how it comes. So Ryan and Grass in 1943 first to recognize that adoption of a new idea consists of stages, and they studied in USA on hybrid seed corn, distinguish between awareness of hybrid seed corn, and they found conviction of its usefulness, trial acceptance, and complete adoption of innovation. So their work was recognized, and they have given very basic concept for this adoption process in the earlier period, that is 1943. The Wilkening in 1953, he identified four stages of their adoption, awareness, obtaining information, conviction, and trial and adoption. These four stages he has given on adoption process. See, now we are moving here. So in 1955, North Central Rural Sociology Subcommittee, with some different earlier diffusion studies, they have given five stages in adoption processes. That they are, first one is awareness. We may say that we get first exposure to adoption process or in our adoption, and then next one is interest, that is just show interest and searches for more information, uh, or keenness, we may say that. And third stage is evaluation, that is a mental trial where we are mentally involved in this process, so it's called as a evaluation. Fourth stage is uses the product on the limited basis, that is a trial. Here the farmers may try on small scale on trial basis, and final one is adoption. You may say that rejection also, because if he decided to use uh, this new technology, new uh, variety, if he get better results, but while adapting again he get failure, some issues in new technology, he may go for rejection. These are the five stages of adoption process. Now we go in detail that the awareness, first one is the awareness. This is called as the starting stage, where in the farmers comes to know the existence of new idea, but he doesn't have full information about the idea. At this stage, farmers is aware of idea but lacks the detailed information about it. For instance, the farmer may know SRI, cultivation in rice only, the name, and may not know that what is SRI, what it will do, and how it will work. Many times we will see in this first stage, a new concept they heard through some media, we may say that mass media, or with some person, some exhibition, some farmers are coming with new concepts or new technology, but they don't know how it will work. They don't know how it will be benefited to them or not. But they feel that why should not to know more information on that particular new concepts, which may or may not be helpful to them. Second thing is that अवेयरनेस के बाद क्या आता है, क्या बताया था आपको?
Interest.
The farmers develop interest in the innovation and seek additional information about it, either from extension officer or from fellow farmers or from any source which he feel credible. That means the farmers at the interest stage acquires more information about innovation or idea. Farmer want to know what the innovation or idea is, how it work, what it potentiality. बहुत बार क्या होता है, आप नई चीज का थोड़ा बहुत सुन लेते हैं कहाँ से भी, किसी भी सोर्स से, और हम लोगों के माइंड में एक इंटरेस्ट पैदा होता है, वो क्या चीज है. जैसे बायोफ्लैक्स फिश का एक टेक्निक से बहुत बार लोगों ने कहीं सुना रहता है, और कंट्रोल कंडीशन में फिशिंग की जाती है. तो हम लोग बहुत बार क्या करते हैं, इंटरेस्ट आज के जमाने में, इन दिस न्यू इरा, we go through YouTube and we may find some different videos in different places. But friends, many times what happens, that video may be of 1 year, 2 years, or some old videos also there. So farmers may visit that places, or they want to visit, but at that time updated information is not there. So the interest is there. That's why they go through these different sources. Next is the farmers evaluation. Interest हो गया, उसके बाद आता है evaluation. Farmers here makes mental application of new idea in the present and anticipated future situation and decide whether or not to try it. The farmer at this stage judge the utility of the innovation. He or she makes an assessment whether the idea is applicable to own situation. If applied, what should be the result? And for instance, we can see the example that the farmer, after hearing SRI cultivation in rice, acquiring more information at the invent stage, what are the components, how they improve and save yield and water respectively. He or she may mentally judge whether SRI cultivation improves rice yield, it adapted. So this is the way how mentally involvement of farmer is very important in this evaluation stage. Rice cultivation through this SRI technique is very much the example we have share here. Next stage is the trial. In this, you are aware that the first instance the farmer may not take up any new idea and innovation right away on large scale, because he doesn't want to take risk even though the potential of idea has been proved. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. बहुत बार क्या होता है, टेक्नोलॉजी तो बहुत अच्छी होती है, मगर फार्मर्स के ओन सिचुएशन में, ओन कंडीशन में, हाउ मच दैट विल बी सक्सेसफुल, माइंड में एक डर रहता है. सो वो सोचते हैं कि व्हाई शुड नॉट ट्राई ऑन स्मॉल स्केल बेसिस. द ट्रायल, then only they go for large scale adoption. The farmer actually applies the new idea on small scale in order to determine its utility or feasibility, applicability in own situation. Even the farmer takes decision to try the idea by virtue of its plus point or merits. Generally, effectiveness of the idea is tested, taking as a small scale trial in their own field standards. And even though farmers has thought about it for a long time, gathered information concerning it. Many times it happens and need to be gone through this trial process. And the last stage is adoption. Being satisfied with performance of new idea tested on small scale situation. The farmer uses the new idea continuously on full scale. Trial may be considered as a practical evaluation of innovation. The innovation become a part of his normal farming community. It may provide a advantage of innovation. Uh, this happens, and hence farmers take final decision and apply the innovation in large scale, may continuous basis in own situation. This is the final and last step of adoption. Uh, One model is also there. We can see this 7 stage model of adoption process developed by Singh 1965. Here he has given the first stage is need, awareness, interest, deliberation, trial, evaluation, and adoption. Only earlier 5 stages are there, but these 2 stages he has been added. That is, first one is the need, is nothing but the difference between what is and what ought to be. Here at this stage, farmer himself wishes to change his existing practice in or in to get more yield or income. That's why he feel that हमें कुछ करना है या जरूरी है, हमें हमारी प्रेजेंट सिचुएशन बदलने की जरूरत है. Next one is awareness. The farmer must comes to know about an innovation without knowing the detail of it. That's why it's called as awareness stage. Interest, farmers make an attempt to know more about the innovation that we have seen in last earlier slide. Now the deliberation, this new stage, it has been added by Singh that farmer at this stage possibility of application of the innovation under own conditions, seek advice of opinion leaders, observe the performance at different places, discuss with the members of the family. Farmers then takes decision to try out or reject the idea. This is very important stages, as Singh has been mentioned, that deliberation, application of innovations in own conditions, how these farmers get, but what are the suggestion given by the opinion leaders, extension personnel, different places or different family members, that will help him to go further, or how that new idea is there. Trial, as earlier I mentioned, that it puts the practice on the limited scale to observe the performance under own conditions. Next one is the evaluation. The farmers observe performance of innovation on various dimensions. He or she collects the data on performance of the innovation on other situations, compare the performance of new with old one, figure out other changes which will be necessary if the innovation is adopted, calculates input, output, risk, uncertainty. ये very important है. इवैल्यूएशन जो करते अर्लियर क्या था, अभी क्या है, इनपुट क्या लगा था, आउटपुट क्या है, उसमें कितना रिस्क है, कम रिस्क है, ज्यादा है, अनसर्टिनिटी है, मार्केटिंग इशू है, प्राइस इशू है, that things has been evaluated in this stage. And the next one is the adoption. In this stage the farmers take the decision to extend the use of innovation on continuous basis. Adoption stages, ये तो continuous process है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक बार हो गया तो कहानी खत्म है, अडॉप्शन हो गया अब खत्म, मगर ये कंटिन्यूअस टाइम बेस्ड सिचुएशन है. After adoption process we move to the innovation decision process. Innovation decision process is the process through which an individual or other decision making unit passes from the first knowledge of innovation to forming an attitude towards the innovation, to a decision to adopt or reject, to implementation of new idea, to confirmation of this decision. This process consists of series of actions and choices over a time through which an individual or an innovation or an organization evaluate a new idea, besides whether or not to incorporate the new idea into ongoing practices. So innovation decision process is very much important for individual also and
Since
for
the
community
midterm
also.
examinations are
If
going on,
it is there,
so give you one of the reasons.
see here I have graphically mentioned here
Okay, so
innovation decision process, how it will work, how the knowledge stage first
if
one,
there are no any
and
questions, we will stop here
it
then.
is a mass media, through that different media
So on behalf
we
of
come to will get the knowledge about the new concept, new technology,
very much thankful
and
to
when we are moving
Dr.
towards
Uday Kumar for giving his precious time and guiding our students.
sorry Dr. Manor,
I am also thankful to all the participants for actively participating in this training program. Thank you one and all. So Uday Kumar ji, we will meet again in the next session. Yes, thank you.
so in knowledge we see how what are the sources where we get the mass media is the source through which we'll get the knowledge, but next stage we'll move to this innovation decision
Sir,
process.
some
It's the
disturbance, sir.
persuasion.
Okay.
In this persuasion we'll see
Sir, some
opinion
disturbance,
leader,
sir.
major
Come on,
change
unmuted.
agents, near peers. Dr. Manor, kindly may I request you kindly unmute yourself, sorry, mute yourself. Some more persons having the their laptop or device is unmute, kindly keep mute so there should not be disturbance to others. Thank you. So we are here in persuasion stage, and in this persuasion stage role of opinion leaders, change agent, and near peers all are very much important. Whatever decision we are going to take, so they can give better idea to us in this persuasion stage. And next one is the decision, how this decision we are taking, that is adoption, or whether we are going for rejection, maybe continuous adoption, maybe later adoption, may discontinue, may continue rejection, that we can see. Implementation is there, and last one is confirmation. These are the 5 stages you can keep in mind that knowledge K, persuasion P, decision D, implementation I, and confirmation C. Like that, KP DIC, that DIC, KP DIC. So, like in short form, if you can keep in mind, so you will not get confused while in preparing for the ARS mains examination or ARS pre or NET examination. First one is the knowledge stage. The knowledge occurs when an individual is exposed to the innovation's existence and gains some understanding how it functions. Here they mention that three types of knowledge possessed by individuals that influence their own decisions. So first one is the awareness knowledge. Second one is the how to knowledge, and principle knowledge. Like that, three knowledge is there. This type of information seeking to concentrate as the knowledge stages of innovation decision process, but it may occurs at the persuasion and decision stage. That is also very important, not only in knowledge stage but in persuasion or in decision also. This awareness knowledge motivation comes. Knowledge stage, how to knowledge consists of information necessary to use an innovation properly. When an adequate level of how to knowledge is not obtained prior to the trial and adoption of innovation, rejection or discontinuance is likely to result. So it's very important. Principle knowledge consists of information dealing with the functioning of principles underlying how to innovation work. It is usually possible to adopt an innovation without principle knowledge, but the danger of misusing the new idea is greater and discontinuous may result. Long range competence of individual to judge future innovation is facilitated by principle of knowledge. Next stage is a persuasion stage. Persuasion occurs when an individual or other decision making unit form a favorable or unfavorable attitude towards the innovation. While the mental activity as the knowledge stage are mainly cognitive, knowing something, we may say that cognitive. The main type of thinking in the persuasion function is affective or feeling. At this stage, general perception of innovation is developed. Individual become more psychologically involved with innovation and hence he or she seek information about new idea. Our psychological involvement is very much in this persuasion stage for the innovation. Third one is the decision stage. Decision occurs when an individual or other decision making unit engaged in activity that lead to choice to adopt or reject innovation. Decision where we should think whether we have to go it or not, whether we have to reject it or whether it is accepted. Adoption is a decision to make full use of innovation as the best course of action available, and rejection is a decision not to adopt an innovation. So this is the important stage. Even though we can go for the small scale trial in our decision stage, whether we have to be adopt or not. Fourth one is the implementation stage. Implementation occurs when an individual or other decision making units put an innovation into use. Until the implementation stage, the innovation decision process has been strictly mental exercise. but implementation involves overt behavior change as the new idea actually part into practice. Problem of implementation are likely to be more serious when adopter is an organization rather than individual. The reason is that an organizational setting, number of individuals are usually involved in the innovation decision process, and the implementers are often different at different people from decision makers. This we can having some issue when as an organizational decision making process is there. There we can found these problems. Last one is the confirmation stage. Confirmation occurs when an individual seeks reinforcement of innovation decision already made, but he or she may reverse this previous decision if exposed to conflicting messages about the innovations. Confirmation stage continue after the decision to adopt or reject for an indefinite period in time. At this stage, change agent have the additional responsibility of supporting message to individual who have previously adopted. So role of change agent is also important in this confirmation stage and persuasion stage. As a sequential effect, there is a possibility of discontinuance also. A discontinuance is a decision to reject an innovation after having previously adopted it. There are two type of discontinuance. You may see that replacement discontinuous. इसमें क्या होता है कि decision to reject an idea in order to adopt a better idea that supersede it. Replace कर रहे हैं, that's why it's discontinue earlier one and new one we are going to accept it. Disenchantment discontinuous is decision to reject an idea as a result of dissatisfaction with its performance. नई चीज ट्राई कर रहे हैं आप और आपको लगता है कि यार वो तो बढ़िया नहीं है, आप पहले वाला ही ठीक था या दूसरा कोई ट्राई कर ले. So in that case, if we'll get this kind of results or thoughts in mind, we may say that disenchantment discontinuance. So another one thing important here is innovation decision process we go it, but innovation decision period is also very important because it is the length of time required for an individual or organization to pass through innovation decision process. कितना टाइम लगा ये तो जरूरी है क्या नहीं. This is gestation period during which new idea ferments into the minds of individual, and the earlier adopter have shorter innovation decision period than later adopter. जो adopter category you know very well, उसमें जितने earlier के adopter categories है, their innovation decision process थोड़ा fast होता है, decision making fast होता है as over the later adopters. You have to be keep in mind. Innovation decision period or rate of adoption, both are different things. In rate of adoption, the relative speed with which an innovation is adopted by members of social systems, and generally measures as a number of individuals who adopt a new idea in specific period, maybe in 1 year or in 2 years. How the adoption is, we found that with a new technology, new varieties, and these rate of adoption may vary or may affect through different variables like that attributes of innovation. You know that attributes of innovations, relative advantage is there, compatibility, complexity, triability is there, observability is there. So that may affects Even the innovation decision is also there. That also factor. Communication channels, how the channels are there, and nature of social systems. So through this, we can judge, or we can found that how our rate of adoption has been affected. This is all about adoption process. Students, topic is open for discussion. I am on my last slide of my presentations. Thank you. You may ask questions, or you may share your any doubts or new things you want to be from me.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Vishal. Now, dear participants, you may please ask any questions or doubts if you have any. Either you can unmute yourself and directly ask to Dr. Vishal, or otherwise you can raise your hands also and type in chat box as well.
पहले वाले साइड पे जाए क्या स्टूडेंट्स?
Yes, sir.
एक स्लाइड ले लो पीछे रखो सर.
फर्स्ट स्लाइड दिख रही है मेरी?
Yes, sir.
नहीं, ये सेकंड स्लाइड है.
सॉरी, सेकंड स्लाइड.
हाँ.
Sir, few questions has.
बताएंगे कोई? नहीं याद आ रहे हैं?
Sir, one question.
हियरिंग एंड शेयरिंग कितना
sharing.
परसेंट रिमेम्बर कर सकते हैं आप?